Let's settle a common gardening debate that sparked countless conversations among backyard growers and plant lovers alike. Does shade cloth actually help your plants thrive in the blazing summer sun, or is it just another gardening trend that doesn't live up to the hype? Is it a must-have for every gardener or simply a waste of time and money? To find out, I set up a simple but revealing experiment. 2 garden beds, side by side, with the same soil, the same plants, and the same amount of water and care. The only difference? One bed was protected by a 40% shade cloth, while the other was left completely exposed to the full force of the summer sun. The idea behind shade cloth is straightforward. It blocks a portion of sunlight, shielding plants from the harshest rays, reducing the risk of scorching heat and sun scald on delicate leaves and fruit. But there's a catch. By filtering sunlight, does it also slow down plant growth by limiting the energy plants need for photosynthesis? Plants absolutely need sunlight to make food and grow strong, but too much intense sun can stress them out, causing wilting, leaf burn, and even poor fruit production. So, is shade cloth a true game changer for summer gardening or just an unnecessary expense that complicates things? My experiment was designed to be as fair as possible. Identical beds, identical care, and only one variable: the presence or absence of shade cloth. I planted tomatoes and peppers in both beds, choosing varieties known to struggle in extreme heat. One bed got what I like to call the sunglasses treatment with the shade cloth, while the other faced the full, relentless summer sun with no protection at all. Would the covered plants flourish and stay healthy, or would they lag behind their sun-soaked neighbors? This is a classic side-by-side showdown. Covered versus uncovered, a true test of whether shade cloth makes a real difference. The summer heat is on, and the stage is set. Let's see what really happens when the sun beats down and the experiment begins. To make sure this experiment was as fair as possible, I started with 2 identical raised beds, placed right next to each other, and filled them both with the exact same fresh potting mix. Every step was carefully matched to eliminate any variables that could affect the results. I planted the same varieties of tomatoes and peppers in each bed, making sure they were positioned in exactly the same spots, so both gardens had an equal start. Over one of the beds, I constructed a simple PVC frame and stretched 40% shade cloth across the top. This shade cloth was chosen to block out the harshest midday sun, while still allowing plenty of light and air to reach the plants underneath. The other bed was left completely open, fully exposed to the elements so it would receive direct sunlight all day long. I kept the watering and fertilizing schedules perfectly identical for both beds, making sure each plant got the same care and attention throughout the experiment. Every single detail was matched, from soil to spacing, so any difference in plant growth would be due to the shade cloth alone. With everything set up and ready, I began the waiting game, checking on the beds each day to see what would happen. Would the shade cloth really make a noticeable difference in the garden? The experiment was officially underway, and I was eager to find out. By the time midsummer arrived, the differences between the 2 garden beds were impossible to miss. What started as a simple experiment had quickly turned into a dramatic comparison. Under the shade cloth, the plants were a rich, deep green and stood tall, barely wilting even during the hottest afternoons. The leaves looked vibrant and full of life, as if protected by a gentle shield. In contrast, the plants in full sun had paler, drooping leaves that wilted every day, no matter how much water they received. The relentless sunlight seemed to sap their strength. The uncovered bed's soil dried out quickly, forming cracks and needing frequent watering just to keep up. It was a constant struggle to maintain moisture. Meanwhile, the covered bed's soil stayed cool and moist for much longer, even on scorching days. It felt damp and healthy to the touch, a clear sign of better water retention. At first, the full sun plants seemed to have the advantage, growing quickly and setting fruit before their shaded neighbors. Their early growth was impressive, but as the summer heat intensified, the plants under the shade cloth caught up in growth, soon looking even healthier and more robust than those in the sun. With less water needed, less stress, and no signs of sun scald, the covered plants thrived in their protected environment. The uncovered bed, on the other hand, continued to struggle as the relentless summer sun took its toll, leaving plants drooping and stressed. The covered bed not only thrived but also used water far more efficiently, making the most of every drop and staying lush. By late summer, the results were clear for anyone to see. The benefits of shade cloth were undeniable, and the difference between the 2 beds spoke volumes. At harvest, the uncovered bed's early lead faded, sun and heat took their toll, smaller fruit sun-scald and tired plants. The shade-cloth bed kept producing bigger, healthier tomatoes and peppers, no sun-scald and lush foliage. The covered plants outlasted and outperformed the uncovered ones. The small delay in the first harvest was worth the bigger, longer yield. In hot climates, shade cloth is a game changer. Healthier plants, less water, more fruit. If your summers are scorching, try a 30 to 50% shade cloth. In cooler climates, you might not need it. The key: work with your environment. Would you try shade cloth in your garden? Let me know.